on the first Sunday of the month, we do our sermon a little bit differently. We combine it with a telling of the story of the gospel. And so Ali is going to help me tell the story of the gospel today. And after we tell the story, then we have some time for wondering questions, an opportunity for you to hear from one another what stood out to you. So before we jump into that, I know we have some new and newish faces. I'd like to take a moment to turn around and greet the folks nearby you, say hello, maybe introduce yourself. Reminds us that in the Episcopal Church, we don't tell you what to think or what to believe. We invite you to ask questions. We invite you to wonder and to reflect on your experience and how that impacts your reading of the scripture. So listen to this story with your ears and with your hearts. Everyone's reflection can teach us something. Today's story continues directly from last week's story in Luke 14. However, now we are out in the countryside, continuing on a journey toward Jerusalem. Jesus has moved from the private Sabbath meal into the open air, surrounded now by crowds. And turning to them, Jesus said,
"Whoever comes to me and doesn't hate father and mother, spouse and children, and brothers and sisters, yes, even one's own life, cannot be my disciple. Whoever doesn't carry their own cross and follow me cannot be my disciple."
This demand to hate one's family is shocking to Jewish ears, since the law commands obedience and honoring one's mother and father. Jesus is not calling for literal hatred, but saying that loyalty to him must far exceed all other ties. And the phrase "to carry one's cross" would have been commonly understood to mean a willingness to suffer shame, torture, and even death at the hands of the Romans.
If one of you wanted to build a tower, wouldn't you first sit down and calculate the cost to determine whether you have enough money to complete it? Otherwise, when you have laid the foundation but couldn't finish the tower, all who will see it will begin to belittle you. They will say, "Here's the person who began construction and couldn't complete it." Or, what king would go to war against another king without first sitting down to consider whether his 10,000 soldiers could go up against the 20,000 coming against them? And if he didn't think he could win, he would send a representative to discuss terms of peace, while his enemy was still a long way off. In the same way, none of you who are unwilling to give up all of your possessions can be disciples.
This passage serves as a stark reminder that following Christ is not an easy flow of blessings, but a covenant of commitment that asks us to think about the cost of discipleship. And we cannot know the cost ahead of time. It is not like a builder planning a project and foreseeing possible challenges. And it's not like a king trying to plan maneuvers and then creating a scenario or strategy to avoid them. Discipleship is not a project to complete or a fight to win. It is a lifelong journey that we cannot know where it will lead. So we must be prepared to give up everything. Thank you, Alan. So the story that we read is also printed in your bulletins if you need to reference some of the language again. But we're going to shift into our wondering questions. And this will be an opportunity to turn to your neighbor and to it's always best to ask if everybody's up for this. So turn to the folks around you that you met and just ask their interest. Are you interested in sharing? We want to make sure we ask permission first. Wonderful. Hopefully you've got a few folks around you that you'll be able to chat with. So I'll give you a couple sets of questions, and you can decide which question resonates to you and what you'd like to chat about. So the first two questions. Number one, I wonder why Jesus felt the need to tell the crowd that they must hate their family members and even their own lives if they wanted to be his disciples. And number two, I wonder if you've ever had to give something up or leave something behind to follow Jesus. So the first question, why did Jesus feel the need to tell the crowd they must hate their family or their own lives in order to be disciples? And the second, I wonder if you've ever had to give something up to follow Jesus. So go ahead, take a minute, turn to the folks around you. Disciples to calculate the cost of discipleship in the same way that they might be calculating building a project or entering into war. And the second is, I wonder what happens when we begin something without thinking about what it might cost. So the first question, what would it look like for his disciples to be calculating the cost of discipleship in the same way they may have calculated a building project or going to war? And I wonder, second question, I wonder what happens when we begin something without thinking about the cost. So go ahead, take another minute.
That's much easier in my head.
We've got our final two questions. The first one is, I wonder what you think Jesus wanted people to understand about being his disciple. And the second, I wonder where the good news is for you in today's story. So the first question again, what do you think Jesus wanted people to understand about being a disciple? And two, where is the good news for you in today's story? So go ahead, take another minute. Was there something that came up in your conversations that you'd like to share with the rest of the congregation? They really came to appreciate that Jesus is not asking for a literal hatred, but that it's a willingness of our hearts. And so how is our heart willing to be changed by being a disciple? Willing to give up things that may be meaningful to us, even giving up relationships that may have been meaningful to us in order to follow Jesus. Yeah, thank you. Willingness is a wonderful word. I like that. Any others? A word or a phrase, I like that. A word or a phrase that stood out from your conversations. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I think that's so important to recognize. We have a choice. We have a choice to be willing to do those things. And that choice that God has given us is so that when we're making this choice to be a disciple, it's coming from our hearts. And it's coming from our openness to God in our hearts. Yeah, thank you very much. Who's that? I saw another hand. Maybe someone else? Yeah, Lindsay.
I was just reminded of the whole hymn. I surrender all to thee, my precious Jesus. I surrender all.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Lindsay was reminded of the hymn, right? I surrender all to thee, Jesus. We have a lot of language actually in our tradition about surrendering, about a willingness to give up, a willingness to hand over. Both these things that are hard and maybe tying us up, such as relationships that are difficult or material things we're attached to. But also, right, kind of anything that's weighing on us, that sense of what does it mean to bear your cross is also this kind of handing over. Yeah, thank you. Surrender. That's a wonderful one more person, a word or phrase from your conversation that stood out to you. Yeah.
Somebody said, following Jesus is not just a weekend thing where you get bread and fish.
Yes, right, exactly. Following Jesus is not just a weekend thing. I appreciate y'all show up on Sunday, but I hope that this is making an impact in how you're trying to live your daily life. Right, absolutely. And so there's that same thing, kind of a willingness to choose to follow Christ on a daily basis, to hand over. I feel like all of that is really resonating with us. So yeah, thank you. Not just a weekend thing. I hope. But again, glad to see you here. Please keep coming. Remember Sunday. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for taking this opportunity to share with one another. Again, it's an important way that we learn from one another and that we enjoy Scripture together. And you've given me a lot to think about. Thank you.